the story in a 30-second pitch, and then just share the slides. Perfect. We're going to just jump into like the overview. So this is really the culture, the values, the mission. A lot of these things you guys have already heard. But I'll go through a little bit more of the 3 to 5 year plan. I know you know a little bit more about that, but we continue to get a little bit more concrete, literally every week around it. And especially when we validate with our franchise partners, and that's really how we do it. Everything that we do is about the two-way feedback. So the values and strategy, that's actually based on when I became the CEO on May 1st. We held a town hall, we met everyone got to meet me, and immediately afterwards I did one-on-ones with everyone. And I had 8 questions, like, what do you like? What don't you like? What's your superpower? So I could understand that there was skills and strengths across the country, and really like on recruitment. So some of the questions that you guys have of like, what's working for marketing for you? What's working for recruitment? What's working for retention? And anything else I need to know. So hearing all of that really came out with like the values and the strategy, our vision and mission, and where I found alignment. And I would say the best thing for me in all those conversations was to realize that everyone cared. Like, people were as important or more than profit. And that was a really key differentiator for us. And that was really amazing. So when we think about values and strategy, what I was hearing from them and what I saw as an important thing. So I think you have both witnessed this actually in your experience. And oh, hi, Jovi, you're back too. Great. Hi, Kayla. So I think what was really important for me is that I had always had this feeling that franchise systems were really win-lose. Like, I felt like they were, really trying to potentially take advantage of people. But then when I understood and became part of this, I was like, it doesn't have to be that way. Because I remember starting my own company and feeling really alone. And so I was like, actually, this is really amazing. You have like 30 of us all moving in the same direction and caring about the same thing, same goals. And we're financially tied to the same goals. So like, we can trust each other in this. And it was really fascinating for me. I actually had I got the 1-800 number to go to my phone so I could understand the business a little bit better. And some of my first phone calls, I was like, what the heck? So one of my first phone call complaints was actually a caregiver complaining. And I remember about like, oh, I don't think that this, it's working really well. And it was my first phone call. And I was like, maybe what happens if the caregiver is right? What happens, if this franchise partner isn't living up to expectations? So I did some due diligence, vetted it out, and it turned out like there's 3 sides to every story. But I think the important thing is that, like, I know that we've vetted the franchise partner way more than we've vetted the caregiver, right? And I find out that the caregiver just had been given extra shifts to replace someone who had gone back to school. But the intention from the get-go was the person was coming back from school, and so she wasn't going to retain those shifts. So as the day that the person came back from school, she complained and called the 1-800 number to complain about the franchise partner. So imagine if I had taken it seriously. Right? Imagine if I just like escalated it, right? Imagine if I didn't trust my franchise partners. And so I tell that story because it's important that you know that I trust you. That's an important part of our brand. Part of our brand is actually to trust each other. Yes, is it my job to investigate still if something like that happens? 100%. But like, is it our brand to know that like I've vetted you way more than we've vetted, our clients? Actually, we've vetted our caregivers more than we vetted our clients. Right? And so in terms of the brand and like when we're thinking about our values, it is about trusting each other. And so and in my survey and talking to everyone, it really came out to these 3 things. And trust, no, you're right, there's just those 3 things. There's the collaboration is important, and collaboration needs trust, right? We can't do the collaboration without trust. And the power and amazing part of a franchise system is because we're actually moving in the same direction. So there are collaborative opportunities. And sorry, Jovi, this is on the Toronto side because we're all in Toronto. The neat thing for us is that we get to collaborate. The neat thing for you and Victor is that you guys have like a team launching into Saskatchewan at the same time. right? And so that's really beneficial, right? So the collaboration piece is really huge. The other thing that I really heard is that everyone had a superpower, but everyone had a weakness. And when I interviewed everyone, the thing that someone was doing really well was someone else's thing that they had questions about. So actually, if we co-learn and know that everyone actually has something that they're bringing to the table, so we created advisory teams to actually do that. So the co-learning is this really beautiful thing. And then the last thing that really I think comes out of that is empowerment. And I think that's empowerment of our clients, of our caregivers, and then like it is your business. So you guys, we're going to tell you best practices and processes. It is your business, right? So it is empowering everyone throughout. So that's kind of the backstory of how, like, it's not that we just pulled this out randomly. These things came from a lot of conversations.
And you're going to want to empower your caregivers to do what they think is best in the home with because you can't answer every single question along the way. So just, empowerment we're empowering you. You're going to empower your employees, whether it be your scheduler, your marketer, or your caregivers, and you're going to empower your families and the loved ones that you're looking after.
And I think even meeting the whole team, I think you're already seeing that, I hope, from like our leadership, right? Is that like there's going to be lots of things that my staff knows way more about than I do at this point. And I love that, right? Because then we can move on to the next thing. So what is the next thing, right? So yeah, why did you sign up? There's lots of different reasons. So this is part of the brand. We can keep going. Our vision really, and many of you in terms of your why, is we're creating a new industry standard of what home care can really look like. And part of that to me is actually changing the whole narrative around aging, but really changing the narrative around home care in Canada. So I think you've probably all heard me say this before. The mission, though, is really putting people first in every way. And this is heartfelt, right? So we genuinely care for each other in a way that can be felt, right? So you think about empowerment, learning, and collaboration, that is family, but you can feel it. So our franchise partners, our home care workers and clients, we should be practicing this in all of our interactions and connections. I remember when we looked at actually becoming more involved in Just Like Family and purchasing Just Like Family. Speaking with Sarah, I just remember you said that not only are our caregivers better, but our clients are nicer.
Yeah, we got that feedback from other caregivers. Actually, because sometimes caregivers will work for more than one agency. That's quite normal. And then they said, I don't know what you guys do, but your clients are way nicer than the clients for other companies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because they're going to come to you because they're aligned. They're drawn to you caring for people, probably because they're caring people themselves. And they're not just looking for the cheapest option on the street that is, a fly-by-night operation.
Like, I know that someone's more of our ideal client, that when they call, that they're just basically like pouring out their soul to me about like what's on their heart and what they're thinking about, and the loved one, that the reason, remember I said, like, our clients are the best loving people because they're calling for someone else that they care about, typically. So like our best clients are the ones who want to get it off their chest. They're calling us in crisis. The first words out of their mouth typically aren't how much does it cost. So it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. It often is. But it's actually not what is the problem behind it. Yeah.
Yeah. And we will go through all of the phone stuff tomorrow. So what does this look like? So it does look like all levels. It looks like what our clients, we want to be the home care provider of choice for them. For our caregivers, we want to be the home care provider of choice for them. And from Boydie, I think we really heard that that's what he's worried about. Like, and Amir, you also talked about living wage. Like, what does that look like? And then for our franchise partners, something for us that is important is also like your sustainability and resilience, right? So it's growing your own business, right? Like how difficult it can be. And Joby knows too, like your first bit of starting up a business can be exhausting. And so for us, we worry about that. And so the peer support pieces, trying to streamline processes so that you're not spending time you don't need to spend, is really important for us. And I would even say when you work with LOEs, like, we are not going to be the people who say, we need you to make $5 or $10 million. We want you guys to decide how big your business needs to be. And because the sustainability of that is really important. Victor's in the waiting room.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, obviously there's certain levels that we'd like you guys to get to, and we want to support on helping you get your business there. But we're not going to push you to the 10 million if that's not in your plan.
But it's possible.
Well, if that's what your plan is. Yeah. So, I mean, at this point, our highest grossing is like 200,000 a month. So that's pretty much, we have 2 to 3 kind of in the range of 180 to 210.
Yeah, so 200,000 a month is 2.4 million a year in revenue,
This is a gross of revenue or?
gross revenue.
Yeah. So, but obviously we're trying for the ones who have the appetite to go further, like, can we do that, right? So out of those 3, I'd say like one definitely has that, one is really pushing for it. The other one's like interested in that. And the other one, like, you know, maybe they're at where they want to be. And I think that for us, sustainability and resilience and like the long game, that's important, right? So is quality care still happening in this community? Great. So culture eats strategy for breakfast. So I think you've heard a little bit about the notable awards. I'm sure that Jen's talked about it. I know Christine mentioned it. And so what we've really tried to do since we became part of Just Like Family in May is putting rituals and practices that like exude the culture. So 2022 was just the culture. So making sure that collaboration and the learning and empowerment was throughout. So on the next slide, there are things that we put in, like how we communicated, talking about our vision and values really came through. Our communications, instead of just being numbers focused, it was people's focused. So how many clients do you have? Like how many new ones, instead of like how much revenue increase did you have? We would start every provincial call instead of saying, like, oh, this person like made this much money. What we would say is like, what are you proud of from the last month? And so it's just like trying to recenter what we're actually about and making sure that everyone was on the same page. Recognition really moved towards the caregivers, our stories, and investigating pain and benefits. So culture comes through in a lot of different ways. And that's really what we did. And like I said, the values already. So this is another piece. But in 2023, I just wanted to let you guys know we're moving from values and culture, because it's going to take like 5 to 7 years for that to be fully embraced. That's normal for change and new management, for like the culture to fully change. I feel like it already is though. But in terms of the strategic foci, so our core competencies out of that is going to be these 3. And so this is where you're really going to see our investments in the next like 1, 2, and 3 years. So we're really seeing, and I'm hearing, I was really happy when you guys introduced yourself and the things you guys care about. Highest quality is there. So we all moved to access care, which you guys like, so we could have consistency, great system. We're going to keep on focusing on highest quality. We just got put on Home Care Ontario. You guys both got like submitted on that. And Jovi and Victor, we're going to constantly be looking for associations in Saskatchewan that we need to be signing up for to make sure that you get some of that credibility as well in Saskatchewan. Pardon me?
Sorry, what do you mean we got submitted?
Oh,
our names.
Yeah, your listings already put on. So you guys are going to get membership access. It might be in your email already. It got submitted this morning. Yeah, so that's Home Care Ontario. It's basically the people who do the advocacy for home care in Ontario, and we're invited to all of their board meetings, their open meetings. They take our opinion in terms of advocacy work. They do require by 2027 that we get accredited, but access care and the policies and procedures that we've been rolling out are setting us up for an easier accreditation process. So it's been a big learning curve for our existing franchise partners, but you guys are going to be fine because you won't know any different. You'll have the better practices from the get-go. Exactly. And then customer centric. I think all of you, just who you are, that's how we can ensure that, but constantly like thinking about how to do that better. Yeah. So you guys have in the internet all the things that make us different. And that's kind of the direction we're going and the tactics and strategies that we have. But last year was all values and culture. We realized that we couldn't just say this is the direction without like getting a solid foundation and changing our rituals and practices. And then this year, we've just been saying responsiveness, customer centric, highest quality. So we don't send in a caregiver who doesn't have a vulnerability sector check or a criminal check. Like that's just not in our vocabulary because that's not highest quality. And so the processes and all the forums and all the pieces that you guys have is going to ensure that, which I think from my perspective gives a lot of credibility, but also confidence. Right. So you're like, no, this is what we're doing, right? Like we have you. And yesterday, when we met with Lansing, it was really easy to say to the nurse, the RN, like, this is why, just in case you need to know for credibility, this is why you'd want to work with us.
Yeah, no, they appreciate that for sure.
Yeah. Great. So from the 30-second pitch, this one is actually more of kind of a confidence booster for you guys. This is going to be another worksheet that you have in your zip file that was sent to you. It's basically a motivational poster. And it's starting to really prepare us that we really understand that we are the people as business owners, that we're going to be our best salesperson. And we don't always necessarily like calling it the salesperson, but we are going to be the person who's like the front line of our business. And so in this motivational poster, there's really two pieces. Number one, my organization is great because you guys already really got this in the YU, so you could steal what you already did in the 30-second pitch. You could take any of the things from what makes us different, whatever it is, but it's something that you feel heartfelt about. Like, this is why I'm able to sell this. Like, this is why I'm able to talk about it. I think that this is so important because it should almost feel unethical not to talk about this business.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't tell people about this business, they actually might have needed care and aren't getting it. Right? So your why we're great because should feel that powerful for you. It's like a moral not to tell people. So whatever that is, and this will keep you motivated. What I find is that this alone, put it wherever you need to, your fridge or the roof of over your bed, whatever it is, it's the reason that you're like, yeah, that's why I'm doing this. It will keep you motivated. I think it also helps me, like every time I talk to someone about it, this is rooted for me. Like I have like important to bring it up. I know a lot of startups, their neighbors don't know that they have a business. I always say, like, if your best friend's dog's boyfriend's mother doesn't know you have a business, I don't say exactly like that. But if like your neighbor doesn't know that you have a business and you're running this, there's a problem. Right? So we need to have the confidence to be like, actually, I have to tell people. So the first thing is my organization is great because. And guess what? When you can say that, it's really easy. I had a cake decorator. I asked her to fill this out. This is a cake decorator. I think we can do much, much better. A cake decorator said to me, my organization is great because I make people's amazing moments even better. So yeah, that wasn't a feature. I didn't talk about personal care, right? Like I talked about like the benefit, the outcome, the thing I cared about, that it was a moral for them not to make someone's great moments even better. Okay, I'll pause there, get you guys to fill that one out. I think you guys have that pretty quickly, hopefully, unless I just made it so impossible. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, oh, that was me. Thank you. So we secretly just bought all these snacks for just our two.
No, I can't believe America can be so close to them, and not go in there.
Just scare them, choke on it. Eating in front of people, popcorn specifically. Scares to get stuck in my throat.
There might be,
Before.
That's fair. That's
Right?
fair.
but you've got a PSW in the room. That saved your life. Don't turn to the engineer, turn to the PSW.
Life hacks, Sarah.
Hmm?
Life hacks.
Exactly. I'll be able to tell you the equation of a parabola.
While you're
Yeah.
choking.
God love. I don't think I know it.
Yeah. But, you know.
Okay, so the first one, I mean, I think it's easy. Everyone's gonna have a different reason. When you introduce yourself of your why you joined JLF, like, it's easy. The second part, I think, is a little harder.
I did not do the second
Yeah.
part because the sales, I'll pass it to Ali.
Okay, no,
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 no.
no, you are
Actually,
actually,
no.
Yeah.
you're gonna be your best salesperson.
Oh, okay.
Okay, no, I promise, you will be, okay?
The more you practice, the easier it gets.
Yeah,
I do not have a sales background.
I'm not sales either.
Right.
I'm a dorky engineer. Honestly, I'm not sales. So I want to take the word sales out of it.
So that's what I was like, why we have this word, because we don't use the word business. We try not using the
Yeah.
word business and the company.
So I'm a great caring person.
Mhm.
You can change the word sales to
Yeah.
caring.
Okay.
I'm a great caring person because.
Yeah.
And that's actually what will sell. I hate to say the word sell, but that's actually what will have you get clients.
Right,
Make
Yeah.
family comfortable.
yeah,
Right. So I'm a great caring person because,
Yeah.
so cross out sales,
well,
but
that's one way to do it. The other way is to reframe it. So I would say that we're actually not just selling. In this instance, I think we're selling ourselves in life. Right? So when you met Ali, you're kind of selling yourself. Like, when you meet your best friends, right? Like when you're persuading anyone to do anything that you like to do with them, like, let's go to, let's go to a movie together. That's a sale. Like, so we're selling ourselves all the time, but we don't call it that. Right? And so if it's almost unethical to not talk about our business, how can it feel bad to like talk about the business, right? Which is basically, so if we take away like this is sales, it's just like, or I'm selling all the time, what's the difference? That's the other way of doing it, right? And so I know we're all capable of it because, we've all persuaded someone to do something in some way, shape, or fashion. So what's also interesting is a lot of times I ask, like, what do you think a great salesperson is? And a lot of times people say, oh, it's that person who presents, and they're like that. But if you really think about it, who's the best salesperson you've ever met?
Jim.
Okay. Okay, well, that's not what I'm asking. No, but like, who really is, right? Like, when you got your favorite, whatever you bought. Who helped you do that? So Jovi and Victor, who's the best salesperson that you've ever met? I guess you're allowed to say.
People you know.
Yeah, so people that you know. So who's the best salesperson you've ever met?
Can I say myself?
Oh, okay. And why is that? Yeah, you can.
I convinced myself and Nancy to this
Okay.
this business. It's
Okay, I
hard to
think everyone's
convince
supposed
people,
to.
right? I convinced my friends, like, oh, they said, oh, that's a great business. Like, you're like sitting in a gold mine already. Like,
Oh. Yeah, so okay, you can say yourself, that's a lot.
oh yes.
Yeah, so and why do you think that your friends thought that? What did you say to them? Or like how did you act? How did you interact for that to happen?
for me, just like it's very casual. Like we talk about like things, like we talk about our work, and because like we're on the same industry. He's IT. He said like, you know what? I think there's better work than IT. It's just like this home care, in-home care business. Like really, that's really good. Like then I showed him like the statistics, like what you hear and what you see in the news right now, and like you can see that there's a lot of people aging already. So the number of clients that we can see that we can get like 1% of that. And he said like, oh, that's a lot already. 1% is a lot like of population for that one. So I think like those things, like he's convinced that, yeah, I think that's a very good thing.
Right, so Victor is a great salesperson because, or a great care person because he goes the extra mile to do the research so that he's really confident when he actually recommends something.
Exactly. For me, because I mean, like, again, like I cannot remove the IT background. There's something needs to support what I'm doing, right? And to convince somebody that this will be successful, I need to have something to back me up that, hey, you know what? Here's the statistics.
Yeah.
Right? Here's what we can see. Like actually, like yesterday, I was just looking at Stats Canada, and I look at like the aging population for Saskatchewan. Oh, there's a lot. Yeah.
So, but this is good. So that's a great reason why you're a great salesperson, right? So you go the extra mile. So if you were actually talking to me about home care, you could give me stats to make me feel more peace of mind, or that me thinking that you're more credible because I can see that you actually know it, right? So I can imagine that before your first home care business, that's what's going to make you feel more confident in having more of those stats. That's great. So I would put that down, and that's your thing. Because everyone has something that's their strength that would help them lean in. Like I'd say you really put your heart on your sleeve. I actually took notes. So I was like Annie, 100%, like you can tell that you absolutely care, and I would trust my parents with you. Like it exudes, right? So
Thank you, good to hear that.
yeah.
And better with you than Ally. Ally is a different kind of salesman. I put Ally in to sell insurance or something else. But you, I would leave my mother with you. I would leave my sister with you.
Yeah, I guess he's stuck with the parking.
Yeah, no, and it's nothing about him, but I want you to understand what you bring, because you bring that trust and that caring. And so I'm not trying to buy a TV or anything else. I'm looking for someone that I trust with my most precious person in the world. And I want you to do that, right? Like that's what you bring.
And I think Jovi really similarly, like I think for me, I was like, I heard like I take this personally, right? Like this is personal to me. Is there a reason why you think you're a great salesperson, Jovi?
Well, I think I just take great pride in what I do. Like with regards to work, I know what I do, and I think being diplomatic is a very great characteristic of any salesperson. Like I know you're always gonna be, you have to always be informative, no stuff, but to be a great salesperson entails that you should also be a great leader. And diplomacy is, I believe, is a number one thing that a great leader should possess. And you should not only look like as what you've, like your example, Carla, earlier, like you should hear both sides of the story before jumping into anything. It's a holistic approach. It shouldn't just be focused on one thing. I think that's what a successful person should have in their character in order to be successful. So yeah.
Yeah, no, there's lots, and what I'm hearing as well, it's very important for this type of industry is that it's not just one person that we're caring for, it is the whole family, right?
Yes.
It
Oh,
is,
yes.
it's more, I mean, I'm gonna use the word stakeholder, there's many stakeholders, right? So there's more
Absolutely.
people. You have like the neighbors potentially, you have the doctor, you have the person who might have referred you. They might live in a senior's residence, so you have the director of wellness and health. Like
You have to be
there's all
very,
these
very
people.
thorough. Like, and you have to be very resourceful is number one, because when you leave the home, you should be ready, okay, this thing should be working for this person right now while I'm gone. And when you come back, you kind of have something like a result. You should have to be result oriented as well. So lots of different factors.
And what's really cool is that each of you has said a reason why you're a great salesperson or care person is completely different. So the important thing is that you own it, right? And you have confidence behind that because you're all right, right? Because the biggest thing on credibility is the customer has to feel that you're actually feeling confident. So that's what this entire thing does. This creates confidence and customers smell fear. So if you're not confident, right? So hold this to be confident because you are great at what you're doing. And Amir, just so you know, yours is empathy and compassion. Like, I just feel like for me, I was just like, you're so empathetic. Like I think every person that you speak to, you would like put yourself in their shoes immediately.
Right.
What did you say?
Because I truly believe in our brand
Mhm.
and want to use our services to help others. But
Okay,
I and I do, because
Yeah.
just compared to other type of sales jobs that you can get
Mhm.
into, like this is really something where you feel like you're actually, you're helping people.
yeah,
And it's not like you can sell it to somebody who doesn't need it. You're
Mhm.
speaking to people who
Mhm.
actually need the service.
Right,
If they don't, it's just a very quick. Like, I'm okay, I don't need this. And that's it.
Yeah.
But you're actually talking to the people who really need it.
Yeah, or you may be talking to someone who doesn't need it, but has a friend that needs it. So that's why you need to be talking about it all the time. Because I want to reiterate what Carla's saying and say it in a different way. Imagine somebody is isolated and can't get out of the house or doesn't have a clean bathroom or can't, whatever it is that client needs or that person needs from us, didn't hear about us, and they could have because you could have talked to someone who didn't need it. That's where it's like, so we the clients that came and I've served over 200 people on Vancouver Island, they didn't come from me sitting at home and not talking about it, right? You gotta talk about it, and then we were able to make a difference. And it was because this person talked to this person, talked to this person, but it all started with a conversation of me talking about it. If I had been like, oh, nobody cares about home care, nobody cares what I do, or I'm not a salesperson, that person at the end wouldn't have got the care they needed. And that daughter wouldn't have had someone to look after her mom.
Mhm.
So it's,
Yeah.
that's where the passion comes through, is it's essential you talk.
I will say, like, I think many of you have seen my video where my husband's business partner, I talked about something I was proud of. Oh, you guys didn't see the video? I thought Jennifer sent it out. So I'll just tell the story, like, basically that my husband's business partner's mother needed some additional care that he didn't know what to do. Right. And so he basically called me because, I had talked about it, and then my husband had talked about it, and people I feel like lots of people are talking about it because it's so topical right now. Like Victor, you were saying that it's in the news, right? So people want to talk about this right now, and a different way of doing it. People want to talk about it. So I told my husband, he knows what I do. I went to different events. He asked me questions about it, called me, but if he hadn't known, he was just going to use the care at the facility that she's in. It just wasn't enough. They didn't do a good job. He actually tried it at first and it wasn't actually hitting the bar. So, we started to do the overnight care, really above and beyond something that's way above what their expectations were, because nobody else is offering it. But it was because I think that my whole network is now telling their whole network is starting to expand. That's what I get excited about in Toronto, is now all of us it's going to be this big ripple, and Ontario's right. And now there's two of you, which I think it's really important that you two started at the same time. I'm really excited about that. Oh, by the way, the press release is going out right now. I don't know if you guys know that. We did a press release for Saskatchewan that we're entering Saskatchewan, so. Yeah, it's fun. So this is something that I'd like you guys all to have with you and to remind yourself. Legitimately, if you're ever not feeling motivated, look at it. I would say for the next 3 months, look at it every day.
Sticky note on your mirror in your bathroom. Or somewhere, or on your computer, or somewhere that you, on your fridge. Yeah, wherever you're gonna be looking at it and reminding yourself why you're great.
Okay. We are.
And if you
into-
forget, call Alana. Alana will tell you how great you are. She may even sing to you.
I would say that actually this, like, we're gonna take the time that it needs to take. There's been a lot of nuggets that I'm really happy that we've dug into that I didn't actually anticipate to do, but there's a lot of like really embedding everything we're talking about with you guys. I hope that you're feeling that it's getting more sticky as well. Is that the right word? Sticky.
I think I need you to send me the Zoom link, actually.
Okay.
If I can.
So what's gonna happen is we're gonna draw it here and we're gonna start mapping things out. It's also gonna be on a Miro board so everyone online can see it. As we kind of go through the whole process and see how everything works. So the way that we're gonna kind of break it down is marketing and business development. And tomorrow we're gonna spend 2 hours on each of these. So that's gonna be the first, and we're just gonna kind of process how everything gets into that phone call. The next thing is gonna be hiring and management. And do short reports on things. And this is gonna turn into a Miro board, so you guys will have access to that as well. Then new clients. And it's not exactly in this order, but I'm gonna try and keep it as much as we can. We'll move things around a bit. And then the retention. So the reason that we want to kind of do this for you is because we want you guys to see how everything works together. Because I think what you've had right now is like a whole checklist, like a line of like steps to do, but it's really hard to see how the whole thing actually goes together. Right. So basically at the very beginning, and we do a mirror board about this one too, is like everything that we're doing is basically trying to get to the call. That's why Amira was laughing. I was like, yeah, the call. Can we just pay for the call? So we're just trying to get the phone to ring. And that can be that we actually have the form that comes in, or it can be that that they actually have picked up the phone to us. And that could be the 1-800 number directly to you. And so everything on here is based on like 3 major things. And this is really what we're digging into tomorrow. It's going to be, I'll do the online first because I think everyone's gonna have questions. So we'll do, everything comes in online. The other way that things come in is going to be our national initiatives. Okay. And then last but not least, and very important, because remember, it is your business, it's going to be your local work. So everything that you do here. Okay, so tomorrow we're going to dig into some of the best practices and training about all these pieces, but just trying to see how it all ties together. So obviously on local, what are some ideas that you guys might have? Like what would be local marketing stuff for you?
Door hangers.
Okay, sure. Sure. I mean, whatever it is, it could be like direct mail basically, or direct anything. Yeah. Yeah.
Local, like personally, I have like a lot of WhatsApp groups, which
Yeah.
are pretty big.
Okay.
So I would have like home just like family logo and this small detail like what we do and the phone number and the contact. So that way, you know, you can publicize because this is the different way of people do like and put it on Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so it's like, and social media is kind of an interesting one because you hold it locally, but we also have one that actually comes from national, like we support content on that as well.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's both, right? So that's something that Christine, who you met, every single week on Monday, we actually are going to send you an email of like social media content that you can, that is Instagram ready or Facebook ready to go, or LinkedIn. So obviously you can do your own, but like we have that as well. So all these things, and basically all these things are trying to get you here. Maybe social media is trying to get you to the website to get to there, right? So local, basically all of these pieces that you can do, you can have referral partners. So Amir, I am going to put you on the spot. Can you talk about what happened yesterday?
What happened yesterday at Chartwell?
Yeah,
Yeah, we had a meeting with Chartwell.
okay,
They loved us
yeah,
as compared to other people. It sounds like they want to start referring business to us.
Yeah.
And they're gonna show us around. Sounds like if we have people in the area that are considering going to a long-term care facility, I think they're just asking that we think of them
right.
in return, but not like doesn't sound like it's contractual or anything. It's just.
It's reciprocal is what I'd call it, right? And so they were very much, and so what's really interesting about these and why the franchise model, I mean, so many reasons why it makes sense, is because you guys are local. So they'd way rather work with you who lives in the area, is going to be like recruiting locally, is going to be like an arm's length away to be able to support them. It's that deep relationship as opposed to a transactional relationship. Right? So they're not going to be like going, how many referrals, but they're like, hey, did they show up? Did they do a great job? Right? So that's why being deep, this is basically, I would call it community marketing. This is your community marketing. And I think the thing that was great about our conversation yesterday is that it wasn't a hard sell, right? So everything that you guys learned about storytelling, about your 30-second pitch, about like your selling mindset, all of those things are really going to help you on the community marketing. Because the way I got to this person was actually a networking event. Right, so tomorrow we're actually going to walk through exactly how to go to a networking event, how to talk to people, like which ones to go to. Right, so it's all these pieces, and all of this is trying to get your phone call.
Local, we can add, you already said community marketing, so.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, so like local
So-
sponsorships, yeah,
Community centers,
yeah, community centers, exactly. And we have like a whole list of these people, and we have a whole list of referral partners that are like the best practices. And again, we'll look at that tomorrow, like even in access care that you see, we're gonna have, like in our referral partners in the marketing section of access care, we actually have it prioritized of where you can expect to get the most number of referrals. So even how we've set up access care is trying to influence you or support you in like what to focus on. Okay. So nationally, what happens, and this is on the checklist that you guys are seeing, is we're actually supporting you on your webpage that you have with us, right? We actually send out the social media pieces. The Google business profile is actually yours, but we have Karen supporting you guys on setting this up to optimize it and making sure that it takes advantage of everything. Nationally, we do our own PR, so we continue to be in the media where we can be. But what's neat about you guys, I know that Chilliwack and Abbotsford just became the best home care business in Chilliwack and Abbotsford. Right, so that's kind of how this ecosystem works, right? We're going to have like awards would be local often, but then that goes up into here. This is going to get messy. But see, like, so when we actually, we're going to have a marketing plan that we set you guys up with tomorrow as well. But it's really seeing how these pieces work together and kind of understanding all the check boxes that you guys have going on. Cool. We also take care of all the associations. So we do associations that are both national, and then we also do ones that are provincial. So I mentioned that we have the Home Care Association. We need to investigate what makes the most sense for Saskatchewan. But things like veteran affairs and getting set up on that, that's another process that we would be supportive of you guys getting on board as quickly as possible. So directory listings and partnerships are basically places, things that we put in place for and with you.
Yeah, no, that's.
No, it's just trying to show, because I think in the checklist, you've probably seen veteran affairs as like a line item.
Sorry, which checklist? Are you
Onboarding channels.
on? Okay.
Onboarding checklist, yeah. I'm trying to show how like it ties in two pieces.
Did you see the look I got?
Yeah, so these are all the pieces up front to get to the phone call, basically. Kind of neat. I'm going to start blanking out on what else we do. We also have the Google ads. AdWords are now handled by one company so that we have the joint learning between them. The other thing that what's up?
CHM University.
Oh yeah, CHM University, that's really, thank you. CHM University, so we actually have bi-weekly meetings for all of our community health managers to train them, but we've also created resources. There's 7 modules of like introduction to selling. So let's say you hired a community health manager and it's not you. This is like the first thing that they learn. They learn the selling mindset themselves. It's like one of 7 modules in the first module. So there's like, I don't even know how long it is. It's pretty long, but it starts with introduction to sales, relational skills, and customer service skills. Don't worry, I'll go through it all tomorrow. I'm just trying to give you an overview. So all of these things we're kind of bringing in on the national side. Oh, then there's online. I'm cheating over here. So the partnerships that we have, I think you guys have heard probably about Extendicare is here. But we're also building out St. Eliz has started, St. Elizabeth Healthcare, SE Health. And we're also building out Lifeline and obviously building the relationship with Chartwell. So these are things that we're really trying to set up for you guys. And then online, I should have put half of these things up here. So online is basically your social media. It's going to be all of your Google AdWords, your business profiles, these pieces that are all leading into your call. So you can see a lot of these things that seem like very process-based are actually setting you up to be on the right directory, like getting Blue Cross, getting onto the Cancer Society directory listings. These are things that, yeah, we could figure it out, but we'd like to get you doing that quicker so that we're not waiting for it. Wade's not actually with us right now, so I can say it anyway. He can tell you guys later. We got his webpage up and we got his Google business profile up. And on Monday, he got his first 3 phone calls already.
Wow.
Yeah. So if your phone randomly starts ringing and you guys are listed, like pick up. So Brady, I mean, I should get him to tell the story. He basically picked up and was like, hello. And the person's like, I was expecting to hear like, just like family home care and started coaching Brady on how to answer the phone. I was talking to him afterwards. I was like, did you hire her? So he started to realize, and his wife, who he's dropping off at the airport right now, she was like, Brady, you have to pick up that phone now. Because everything's getting to this phone call.
And my phone is also sitting in a corner right now.
Uh-oh. No, it's all good.
It's just
No, but it does kind of change, right? So, and we'll talk about like how to do the call, but it is a really important thing. It's like, if you pick up the phone, I mean, actually, Sarah, I might turn to you. Do you want to talk about the importance of picking up the phone?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Do you want me to come up there?
I
Or?
know, that's fine. You're good.
Oh, I can turn my camera on. I'm in front of I just didn't want the Zoomers to be left out. But let me just go back.
Ali's gonna get excited about close rates, actually. If you pick up the phone, what's your close rate? If you don't, what is it? What's your close rate?
Yeah, yeah. So what specifically you want me to talk just about how important it is, or what I say?
How important
How
it is.
important it is. Yeah, so super important. So when people are calling around and they've heard from you from one of these things, Google Ads, wherever they've heard from you, and they call you, chances are they've looked it up and they're calling 3, 4, 5 people. And then we're going to train you tomorrow on how to talk to them. But they are calling you, they're calling Nurse Next Door, they're calling Home Instead, they're going to call a bunch of these other ones. And when you answer, and once we've trained you how to speak, they're going to say, or my experience is that they'll say, great, I don't need to call anybody else. You have answered all my questions and you're exactly what I'm looking for. If you don't get back to them in that first hour, somebody else will take them. One of those other companies will take them. And so one of the differences that us is, our core competency is responsiveness. And so if you can't take a call because you're in an assessment or something, have either a teammate take it or you call them the second you get out of that assessment. Things cannot wait 2 or 3 hours or a day. It needs to be, yeah. The other thing is some of these ads do come in the middle of the night. So I'm also conscious if it's come in at 3 or 4 in the morning, I'm not going to phone them at 6 when I wake up because chances are they've been up all night. So there's also some discernment around that, but absolutely calling back is 1000% important.
Another
And what's
thing, sorry.
No, I'm done.
Another thing I wanted to add was when I manned the phones for Toronto, one of the most compliments that I got, the most often was the fact that I picked up on the second ring. The fact that I picked up on the second ring and it didn't go to my voicemail, people would be like, it's a person. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you saying?
I would say that if you pick up the phone, Ally, it's a 50% close rate. If you don't pick up the phone, you're down to 20
Mhm.
Or less.
or less.
Maybe I'm asking too early this question.
Yeah.
So we are starting this business. We don't have the manpower. We have the whole setup going there. Somebody calls and says, oh, I need a caregiver, PSW, or whatever, for my parents and this and this. How, just out of curiosity, how we deal with the situation, we don't have.
Yeah.
We ask them for some time,
No,
or we text.
never.
No.
Yes, we can look after you. Is your answer. Yeah, and then there's more questions. So we'll get to that, I think, in the training tomorrow about how you do that.
Okay.
But you never say, because I can tell you that I hired staff that did start saying that, and we went from bringing on 2 or 3 or 4 clients a week to 0. So you absolutely never say, we'll get back to you. I don't know. I'm not the right person to talk to. Like, yeah.
Can I just,
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
oh, just about the phone calls, Kayla went on her first intake as well. They said the reason that they went with us was the Google reviews and because every time they called, somebody answered the phone.
That's
So
right.
that's like,
I took the first phone call for them.
did you?
I wanted to say that, but the dog.
Exactly what you were gonna say that?
Yeah, but the dog keeps barking, so I didn't want to unmute.
Sorry.
Yeah,
But
no,
they
no.
said they like
We-
at any time of day, they answer the phones right away. That's what the lady said.
Any time of day, we picked up the phone.
Yeah.
So the golden hour is what we would call it, is basically 5 to 8 PM. Having someone answer the phone then.
Mhm.
So that is the time that the phone rings the most, because if you think about it, someone who is working, so the sandwich generation, so our client is typically a 55-year-old woman who cares about her parents. She probably is working, is done work, has between 5 and 8 at some time, depending on when she's making dinner, or like depending on her other responsibilities. She's squeezing you in before 8 o'clock. And yes, sometimes I have 9 o'clock. I have had a midnight. Right? So you can,
But rare.
yeah, quite rare.
But if you're awake.
Yeah.
And you have the phone
Okay.
right beside you, just pick up
Absolutely.
and answer it.
Yeah.
If you're busy, just tell them like, can I get back to you in 15 minutes?
At least you picked that.
Because it happened with me, because when Ali we were working, he was mostly searching for franchise and stuff.
Yeah.
And I tried calling couple to see like how it goes, like the Markham area and everybody, you know. There are some people, they just pick up the phone, they don't pick up,
Mhm,
nobody replies. If somebody picks up, I'm gonna get back to you.
mhm.
And then 4 days after, they call me back.
Right,
Like I already got the care.
right. No,
I'm not going to
100%.
wait for 4 days. you
Yeah.
know, To receive a call back.
Yeah, so people do business with people that they know about, trust and like. So once they call you, they know about you. So your job is to create the credibility and likability. So to Kayla's point and Amir's, it was the 5-star rating starts the credibility, right? You picking up the phone and sounding confident. Confident comes from that selling mindset piece of, and Victor, you doing your stats research and knowing those things and feeling confident about that. Jovi, you being confident because you have your RN background, you put your heart on your sleeve. Same with you, Annie, right? Like, and Kayla, like exactly the same. Like, so your heart's on your sleeve, you know your stuff, like you're gonna continue to feel confident after this. So yeah, let's move forward, right? This is the next step in the process. So people basically at this point, they're looking for peace of mind. They're looking for responsiveness, but that all leads to trust and credibility, right? So there's almost this feeling like it's not logical trust, but there's certain things that you can do that create a sense of trust, even if it's illogical, right? Because real trust happens over time. But like sometimes people would actually put their certificate up, or sometimes, right? Google reviews is more trust, it's credibility. Me picking up the phone is that. The secret sauce of just like family, because I think that like we could put in so many business processes that we could do those things. Like we could have a call center, we could do that. The secret sauce is the likability piece, and we're going to talk about that a lot in our marketing side. Is like everything we're doing in marketing should either create visibility, credibility, or likability. And the things that are going to blow our competition out of the water and like really like lift up that there's a different way to do this is to be human, which is the likability side that we've been talking about. Right. And so when I answer the phone, yeah, I'm professional, right? But to Annie's point, if I'm busy, I'm like, yeah, no, like I'm driving right now. But like I saw that the phone called and we definitely don't want to drop it. And yeah, I'm going here right now. Where are you? You must have had a busy day too. That's pretty human. How often do you call a company and have a response like that? Another response that you have, and we'll do more of this tomorrow, is like they tell you like they want to just get it off their chest. It's okay to say, oh, that sounds really, really tough. That sounds impossible. It's pretty human. I can tell you because the 1-800 number still comes to me, and Atlanta. When the 1-800 goes, don't worry, I have my phone beside me. When it goes, like I've actually had one person call me, and I think I've told the story to some of you, where the person said, I have cancer, I'm palliative, I only have a couple months left, and I just want the person to be beside me to care for me. And I just was like, I'm not going to jump in right away. I'm just going to pause. I'm so sorry. This is so impossible. And she burst into tears. And she goes, I've called other 1-800 numbers and they just treated me like whatever. And she's like, oh my gosh, right? So it's a different way of doing it. And you don't have to be perfect and professional. Like you don't have to do that. You can let your hair down or your beard down. Okay, so the call is like so much, and there's a lot of training on it, but like at the same time, I'm not giving you a script because it doesn't work that way. Right?
Personalized one.
Yeah.
Okay, so hiring basically, we have a lot of things that are getting you guys set up. And so basically for your question, Ali, it's like, okay, how do we do it? It's just in time, like matching, just in time recruiting often happens, right? Because we want that perfect match. right? And so what we have in place here is basically you're gonna have your recruitment. So recruitment basically is all the way that we find great people, right? Once you recruit, you have to do screening. Right, so that's all the way that we actually like make sure people, we have the best quality. Remember that core competency? And then from here, we actually have to onboard. So that's the training, that's all our paperwork and everything like that. And from there, we care about retention, right? Of our staff. So in here, we have lots of different partners, right? So we actually have a premium account for Indeed. So your Indeed account will actually be linked with our premium account, and we're going to show you how to do that, explain that, so that every time you post, you're actually leveraging our premium account. People can use other ways of recruiting as well. Some people use Facebook. Your WhatsApp would be another way to do that. The really important thing about us, and we're going to talk about this, is like how to have a job description that actually attracts the people that we want. Then we get into like the screening, right? So we have interview questions. This is all on the portal. So we have all the interview questions for you. We have some best practices on how to screen. So like in Indeed, you can actually have some pre-qualifiers. So there's some Indeed best practices here. And yes, some specific questions. We're going to actually do a mock interview tomorrow. Right, so what should we be asking to make sure? Because there's a lot of like yellow flags to red flags that we want to be looking for if we're going to raise the bar. Then the onboarding. So in here we have employee contracts, employment contracts in place. We obviously then use PayWorks is really what we do recommend, and there's different functionality in there. There's different forms. So all of in Access Care, you can actually do the document tracking of all of their certifications and everything. So this is just making sure that we're having the highest quality. There is Triton, which is going to be a criminal check, or you can actually get your vulnerability sector check, which is through a police station. So setting you up on all these pieces is the checklist. Sorry, do you see, I'm kind of seeing how it all goes together. They're typing away. And then retention really in here is we have Care Academy, right? So that people can actually have professional development. And we also have the notables. And then we also have a health spending account program that you can decide to activate when you're ready. Health spending account is basically, well, actually, Sarah, do you want to talk to it a little bit more?
Yeah. So a health spending account can be something that is, I'll just turn on my camera. Health spending account is money that can be spent on anything that's health related. So then it really gives the caregivers the power to choose where they want to invest that money. So some people, they may have drugs that aren't covered by their drug plan, pharmaceuticals. They may have massage, or they may choose to see an acupuncturist or a chiropractor. I think sometimes even the gym membership is allowed. So however they view their health money. And so what we implemented on Vancouver Island, and again, it's your business, you choose what you want to do. But what we did is for every 600 hours that a caregiver worked, they got $250 in their health spending account. And so it was a bonus. And the advantage to doing it on a health spending account is that as a business owner, it's tax-free. You're not having to pay the EU insurance or EI insurance and CPP. And for them, it's tax-free. It's if they spend $250 or eyeglasses, that's how I spent mine, you know, so whatever it is that they want to spend it on. And then, yeah, we can talk about the details, but that's what a health spending account is. It's less expensive than purchasing like a full benefits package, because eventually you're going to have 50 or 60 or 70 caregivers. And it's just not realistic to have that kind of cost per month for each of them. But, or at least it wasn't in the business that I ran. But offering that health spending account helped them what that kid that needed the tooth, you know, in the dental care that they didn't have covered or whatever it was extra that they needed.
Yeah, no, great. Yeah, so I mean, we do have someone who, a few of our franchise partners have it, but just having someone that we're rolling out in East York for March 1st. So just having a provider in place for that. And then I mean, a lot of people do appreciation things as well above and beyond this. So taking advantage of that, but just seeing how much National has been thinking about, you do have partnerships in place or specific resources that we've developed for every step of this. Yeah, the checklist is making more sense or less.
So, I have-
Funding, I'm sorry, as Amir have asked, what is this? So it's not the, it's not for the family, the whole family.
It's
It
not
can
a
be.
Just
full
individual.
benefit.
It's not-
like
It's not a full benefit, no.
But they can add family members.
Yeah.
So, yes, absolutely. So if it's not them that's going to the chiropractor or the dentist, it could be their child. Yeah.
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 But, sorry. Apart from Annie, I've been checking around and asking questions to some nurses and PSWs, and they are always looking for the benefit part.
Mhm.
Kind of for you to retain them, to keep them as your employee for longer term. It's not like every time you're going through that process of
Mhm.
training them and do the paperwork, and then after 2-3 months.
Yeah.
They find a better, and mostly is the benefit side that kind of. With everybody.
Yeah, keep
For
them.
example, she worked for 2 companies and the
Yeah.
third one offered a benefit. She said, yeah, this is it.
Yeah. So I think that's why this one's kind of an interesting thing to include of the health spending account, is because typically it's after someone hits a certain number of hours that they get a tranche of funding that they can use. And some of them actually use the health spending account to actually buy health insurance.
That's right.
Right, so, but there are other things in here that we're participating in to see if what else we can do. There's HIPSWA, it's basically the health practitioners, I'm gonna forget everything, but it's basically an association where it's basically advocating for PSWs, and there's similar things in every province that we're getting involved in. Some of them actually have membership supports for PSWs. And HCAs, healthcare aides. And so like, could you get a TELUS savings on it, right? So we're trying alternative ways to get more membership or caregiver incentives beyond just that, what we have. If that makes sense. So if we're members of this, can all of our HCAs get a discount on TELUS? So more than just health, is there other things that we could provide? So I'm putting in this because it's kind of more of like an idea. I'll put all the ideas in like pink of things and areas that we could improve upon. Okay, I need one for the marketing side too, because I feel like Amir has lots of ideas for me here.
I do.
Okay. Oh, no.
I watched the family call and somebody was mentioning some kind of profit sharing. I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah.
With the PSWs.
Yeah.
After a certain amount of time, I think that's something I'm interested in.
Yeah, so Jeff in North Edmonton is looking at that, as is our reporter, as are we actually in East York. Sorry, Victor?
Oh, yeah, I like the idea of that health spending accounts, but is this like part of the PayWorks already, or do we need to track this manually, like generate a report then? Or will this like be one click of a button, then we will know like whom to give and how much to give?
It's a really good point. So it's not through PayWorks. What we have, I don't know if we have it right now, but the plan is to actually have Access Care have a customized report for us to be able to track the hours so that it can, so we know how much should be in the health spending account. And then the health spending account is a separate program through an insurance provider.
Okay.
It has to be tracked separately for insurance purposes, so it can't be part of the pay. It's a separate system, but the system is super easy. It's just a question of The hard part is tracking your caregiver hours, and we're working with Access Care. But essentially, when you go to set up the health spending account, you just put the employee's name, whether it's just themselves or their family members' names, and how much money they have. Like, it's 3 entries into a computer page. Super easy.
Yeah, like I just set up national with a health spending account. And like, it took me 3 minutes.
Mhm.
Will this like be like, just for example, an employee will have like a 500, is it per year, or it will just like accumulate every time?
It typically would be accumulated based on your hours, right? So you'd get like $250 after your first 600 hours or something. So you can customize what your plan looks like based on the scale of your business and what you wish to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Cool. So yeah, I'll just put like, well, I'll try and like, so if there's like a real extra like learning, I'll put it in orange. If there's extra ideas that we come up with, I'll put it in pink on top of it. Cool. So again, we're going into a deep dive, but I just wanted to give you guys the high level of how everything works. So basically when you get your new client, and so this goes both ways because it's all about matching, right? So basically your new clients, when they come on board, you basically have your call, which came from over there. And I don't know, Kayla, do you want to tell us how we get a new client? It's the care plan. It's your in-home assessment. She's like, don't put me on the spot. In-home assessment. If your call is really, really good, your in-home assessment should be really, really easy. So the more that you do in the call, the more information that you get. This basically is going to translate to you. And oftentimes we show up for the in-home care assessment with the paperwork ready to sign. So this is going to be basically your care plan that you put in place here. At this point, you might have your paperwork in place. So your paperwork is basically your service agreement. Maybe I should just put a note that some of these things are on Access Care. So this is actually a form that you can have. Employment agreements are also a form. What's great about this is that you can give them the paperwork, or you can actually send them a link to fill it out, just like a DocuSign was, right? But it's through Access Care so that when they sign it, it gets actually saved in Access Care for you and attached to them already. And so these are custom forms that we've created, right? So we can just add them into your template sites. In here, then you have your payments as well. So that's going to be either credit card or PAD. And so your pre-authorized debit is really what we would recommend out of the two of those, because your fees are going to be much lower. And so we have, again, the forms in paper for you, or we also have them forms within Access Care. Cool. Okay, so this is basically to get someone up and running and ready. You have your care plan in place, you know when it's going to start. And then at this point, that's when we actually do the schedule. Right, so this is the big match that we create from here. So maybe I should go in here. The important thing for us on the schedule, again, this is basically going to be all Access Care of how you create this and all your visibility to this. We'll say this again, I'm sure, but the most important thing on the schedule is actually having consistency. So you don't want to have ad hoc shifts all the time. You basically want to have your shifts to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every week, because that helps your caregivers. So that's advocating for your caregiver again, by having that consistency. Right, so in here, and then the last thing in here is then you're going to be doing like your invoicing. Right, so of course here we have Rotessa, we have QuickBooks set up, and any sort of payment gateway if you need that. Oh, and that goes to your bank, which you guys should set up your bank account. I know it's a lot of pieces, but now you know why the checklist is so long. So when all of this comes here, then it basically gets to the retention side. A lot of this is going to be your quality control visits. And it's also going to be all of your care notes. So your care notes, so I can't spell. in access care. It's something that you're actually reviewing like every day to see if there's changes, making sure that your caregivers have actually done that. But what's neat about this is this can turn into reports. And you can actually give access to your customers, so like transparency. Your customers can actually see, if you give them access and access care, the care notes, the schedule, the invoice in real time. And then other than this is like the likability follow-up. So anything else that's the JLF way. So I invited Leanne and Jason to come tomorrow at the end of the day and like really ramp you guys up for your first care plans and your first like getting out there, because it's like all this juicy, beautiful stuff that you've heard from Jen and Emma and us now, but like seeing this part of the retention. I know that they had their first client passed away just before the holidays. But like Leanne was, you know, there on the bedside, you know, and just like the stories and just like, yeah, it's, she'll be able to share that with us and how the experience and the trust that she felt from them in end of life. So it's really simple.
Carla, I have a question.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the chart. Is this like a left to right process? So I can see here that we will wait for a call before we do hiring. Is that right? Or can we do hiring before a call?
No, so it's really just in time hiring. It's a little bit of a dance that you're playing. The best thing to do, if it was possible, is to start hiring right away. At least start trying to have a roster of people who start to really believe in you. So we're going to spend a lot of time on the recruitment side of it, because just how you write your interview, how you write your job postings, how you interview is going to make a big difference in who you end up getting and who finds themselves aligned with you. I will say Angeli, who we've just brought on as our nurse in residence, she's one of my caregivers right now. And I wanted to actually bring her in so for her to talk about like how much she loves working with JLF and how she actually believes in us and she understands the vision. And like, I think a lot of our franchise partners, and I think you guys have an advantage as newbies actually, to understand the vision as clearly as I have heard you guys articulate it, because I do think that that's compelling for caregivers. They actually want to believe that they can trust you and that you're going to go the extra mile and you're going to treat them like with dignity and respect. You are going to advocate for them. You're going to try and do better, right? Like, and that's the type of caregiver that if you can sell that vision to them and then deliver on it, I mean, you're going to have a pretty rock star team. Yeah, but it's not perfect at the get-go. Like, I'm not going to say that you can have 40-hour work week for everyone from day one. That's not going to happen. But the fact that you want to know what their aspirations are. So they want to have 40 hours a week with you, or maybe they only want 20 because they're a student, and you know that their mother is in Jamaica and not doing well and might need to go on leave, and you're flexible in that, but you actually know their mother's name. That actually goes a lot further than you think.
When it comes to hiring caregivers, the thing is that if they work in an institution, they're going to make more money. That's the bottom line. Like I certainly in Vancouver Island, I don't know about the Toronto market, but if they're going to work and they're, you know, they might have regular shifts. They might get a shift that's 8 to 4 every day or 4 to 12 or whatever that shift work is. Those aren't the kinds of caregivers that we want. Like if they're just there and what fills their cup is that they get to see 30 clients that day and they're running from room to room and, you know, they're switching out bedpans and whatever they're doing, but they're not actually like caring with and creating that relationship with the client. Those aren't our caregivers. Our caregivers are the ones that it actually fills their cup to create a relationship. So when we say we're relationship based and we're sharing that our clients are coming with us because we're relationship based, our caregivers are coming to us because they're relationship based. They can probably get a job for a couple dollars more an hour somewhere else, but they're not going to establish that same relationship. Those are the caregivers you're looking for. Those are the ones that you want, that they like, yeah, I'm excited about, only having 2 or 3 clients, and those are the only people I'm going to look after all week instead of running from 40 different rooms on an institutional floor.
Yeah, so it's very common, like the relationship, the why of why they're a caregiver is tied to relationship. So this ties into some of your interview questions, right? We find that in some places that I know that Jason and Leanne could speak to this, they actually have a lot of people near retirement. That they're like, okay, I'm at the end of my career. I actually want something that's more meaningful. And we have more interesting shifts, to be honest. Like they're a little bit more fun that way. Don't worry, guys. We did it. It's 5.
Sorry, one question, another one follow up with the just in time, like what's the turnaround time from the start you put in the ad for the job until like the hiring? Usually, like what's is it like a week or it's more than a week? Based on experience, like what do you think like for that?
Yeah, so the majority of people call us in a crisis. So it's also based on like how long you have, right? So it can be turned around in 24 hours. Obviously, for us in highest quality, we do want you to be 100% sure about someone, and you have to have the Triton criminal check that can happen in that turnaround time. And always looking for the red flags and yellow flags as early and often as possible. What your preference is and what starts to happen is that your first one actually gives you a little bit longer. It's not as urgent. So with the assessment that Kayla went to on Monday, let's say we would be rapidly looking for someone right now, right? We have caregivers, it's fine. But like we'd start posting on Indeed right now, thinking about that person, starting to do the interview process that way, right? And it might be 2 or 3 weeks before the paperwork gets signed, right? But you're always recruiting. I think that's the thing, you're always interviewing.
Yeah. So you're always recruiting, you always have an ad up on Indeed, and you're always looking each week in case there's that perfect person that comes along. Because there are a lot of, well, certainly on Vancouver Island, again, I maybe in Toronto, they're in Saskatchewan, they're more qualified, but we get a lot of people who are restaurant workers that, have worked at McDonald's and now they're applying as a caregiver. And sometimes you don't necessarily discount those, but my point is that you're going to get lots of applications all week, but then when you get that great one, you want to call, but you always have your ads up. Our turnaround when we were growing and the way we were successful, we would start the next day. Lately with different staff in Vancouver, they're waiting for 2 or 3 days or sometimes a week. And our onboarding has gone significantly down, like dramatically down. You have to be prepared to help somebody the next day. Even if it's at the beginning, even if it's yourself going, and then you have another caregiver going another time. I mean, you can't do that once you scale, but at the beginning, you do everything you can to say yes to those clients because they're going to refer more and they're going to refer more. So yeah, I'll tell you the story of, I know we're running out of time, but I'll tell you the story of when we bought Nanaimo, I got a call at 1 o'clock on Friday afternoon that said, if you can put in 24, and I had nobody in Nanaimo yet. If you can get somebody here by 7 o'clock tonight and do 24/7 care from Friday to Monday morning, I will switch to you. And it was 24/7, 7 days a week care. We still have that client to this day. And in 6 hours, I hired 2 caregivers, got them in on that weekend, and they worked around the clock for this client. And 3 years later, I still have that client. We still have, Just Like Family still has that client in Nanaimo. So, but you can't say, oh, I don't know, maybe, no, you gotta commit and make it happen. Yeah, it was amazing. And it was 3.5 hours away from where I was at the time. So there was no way I could have done it, but we made it work. So it's that type of tenacity and commitment that will get you your first few clients. And I got to tell you guys, once you get 10 clients or 12 clients, it's so much easier because then you have a few caregivers that you can swap out. If someone calls in sick, you actually have a backup caregiver. The first 10 are the hardest, so that's why you do everything you can to say yes to all those first ones to get to a critical mass.
I also think like in like being connected with the caregiver community, I think Jovi is going to be a huge advantage because you're going to have people who trust and like you already. And I think you and Victor working on like, what does that network look like in Saskatchewan? That's a big thing. And I know that for Jenilyn, and she's never had a hard time finding caregivers because she's always been connected with the community. Yeah, and then I think in Toronto, what's really great is that like we already have caregivers, right? So we already have ads up, and I think that like more of us working in the same direction will be able to give more hours to caregivers. Right, so now we have a better offering and it's more compelling to work with us because you're like, okay, yes, in North York, I have something, but if an opportunity, if they are willing to travel and we have something in East York, we can give them more hours in a week.
I have a quick question here, Carla. Like, I have a couple of people who are willing to learn though. Like, I love it when people are like sponges. They know nothing and you train them. So how do you look after those possible employees?
Yeah, so they can be companions. I think one thing that they need to have though is CPR certificate. So they can't do personal care, but they can be companions. We still do a criminal check for them. So that's a pretty like, it's a weekend course basically that they can take for us to be able to put them in a companionship. But having at least that, even in companionship, is still raising the bar compared to our competent, like at least we have a standard there. You're still going to have all those interview questions and the screening on that. What's really great is with Care Academy, you can continue to give people those courses. So if you do have something that's very specific in terms of any sort of language, or you can go through Care Academy and give them that. If they are interested in becoming a PSW, then you can support them there, but it's not necessary in a companionship role before you have personal care.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and we're all non-medical too. Yeah, so there's lots of time for questions tomorrow as well. It's just, I hope you see, like, I wanted to give you a visual of like how all the pieces move together today. Not that you're going to be like, you have all the answers in the world, but you can start visualizing how the whole business model works. And maybe even some of the questions are starting to get answered slowly, not in detail, but slowly. Okay, feel like it's been a long day. Tomorrow, every section that we have, we'll have some role playing in place and some put in practice. So we've done the first 2 worksheets, but there are many more worksheets that we'll be going through tomorrow. And we'll have 2 speakers. So our speaker at 8 a.m. Central and 9 a.m. Eastern is Keisha. She's one of the co-partners of Transitions. It's another, it's a real estate though transition company, similar to the person at Savvy Concierge that I introduced you to. And she's going to talk about why she likes Just Like Family and some of the values and like why she wants to work with us. Then we'll go through all the marketing pieces, all the best practices of email and everything. And every 2 hours we'll switch. We have Leanne and Jason at the end of the day. But lots of, like I said, role playing and then put in practice. So you guys have some concrete things that you're learning as you go forward. So if there's nothing else, that's kind of what we wanted to accomplish today. And we're going to send out a link to this Miro board to everyone here. So at least if you want, you have it as a reference, I think, to move forward.
And thanks for your patience online. I was a little behind Carla with her writing, but hopefully you were able to connect what she was saying to what I got up a couple minutes after she said it.
You did great. Yeah, you were really quick too.
Thanks, Jovi.
Awesome. How's everyone doing?
Excellent, excellent. Good. It's a
Good.
lot of information.
Yeah, no, it's just like, you're like, okay, it works together.
Yeah, so just to reiterate, this is like, you've just been given everything, so you're drinking from a fire hose right now, but tomorrow we're gonna go into each one of these things so that you'll feel more confident after each one. So you don't have to know everything today. We wanted to let you know what the whole roadmap looked like, and now we'll look at each individual highway as we go.
So what is the standard rate that we charge to the clients?
So everyone's at different places. At Toronto East, like East York, we're doing 38.50. So probably the three of us, it makes sense to be kind of on the same page. But we're low, like Ontario is lower than BC is, just so you know, like,
We just went to 45.
Yeah.
In BC.
Mhm.
We started at 38, went to 42, and now we're, as of February 1st, we're gonna be 45.
yeah. So even like in Peterborough, they're charging 38, and in Ottawa, they're charging, I think, 39 now. So I think collectively, we just decide on what we want to do. So just so we're consistent on it.
And then what is the how much we are paying to the PSWs and
Yeah.
average,
So right now I'm paying $20 an hour. Yeah.
Starting $20 an hour?
Yeah, I've just kept it consistent at this point, just because we just instituted that.
Okay.
We keep it consistent in Vancouver Island too. And we find that just really works. Like, you know, an hour of anybody's time is an hour of anybody's time. So it's a way of, and then it becomes less subjective, like, oh, I think this caregiver, like I could not, with my heart, I could not interview someone and say, well, you're worth $20.10 and you're worth $20.30 and you're worth, like, I just couldn't do it. So we made it the same. Now you may maybe a natural one is if they do have a certification, they get an extra 50 cents or something, so that it's something that's black and white. But I didn't want that stress when I was hiring people. So when I did it, I kept it standard. And just, you know, because we charge more, and living on Vancouver Island is super expensive. So we pay living wage of $24.50 an hour and something like that. So we do end up paying more because
It's like the $20 with the taxes, or it's.
no, 20 plus vacation plus taxes.
Yeah. That's right.
plus the,
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. So there'd be about an 8% burden on top of that.
Yeah. So that's also why, like, a lot of people ask questions about the price, and so Ontario hadn't really started to do this yet, but BC kind of got ahead of it, of saying we have to charge this because we pay living wages, right? Because we do treat our employees well. So obviously in Ontario or at Toronto East and East York, we've only been part of it since September. So when I came in, I have increased the average hourly quite significantly, but yeah, so that's just where we are right now. And so I would look at like the three of us really working together on that.
Are we at 38.50 because we reviewed and the competition is around?
So some people are saying it's 35, 37, like some are at 40, so it's in and around.
Okay,
It seems to be
it
a
is.
little bit more competitive that way. But to be honest, like most of our clients, our newer clients, I mean, we were at 37.50, they thought that was cheap. And if you think of it versus BC, it really is.
So until November last year, when I was checking around, they were charging 35.
Right.
And they were paying to the PSWs, what was 17 something?
Yeah.
Starting point.
Mhm.
And then it depends. Some they were getting raised, some they were not getting raised.
Right.
I think so something through the government also that they are bumping up another $2 or something on that, $3.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, the challenge is that the client has to apply for that. So it gets really tricky.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and there's also, yeah, like, again, this becomes sort of a justice issue. So like one client applies for it and someone like, so, oh yeah, I think we're probably good. Probably.